We are energy receivers, we are energy containers, and we're energy transmitters. What we're holding in our container about any given subject, that's what we will attract and manifest. What you energetically hold must then manifest. It's universal law.
Hi, my name is Steve Martile, and welcome to the meeting of the Masters. Today's special guest is Christy Whitman. Christy is a two-time New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Having It All and Taming Your Alpha Bitch. She is also the author of the international bestseller Quantum Success and the Desire Factor. Christy is regularly set up as a guest on top podcasts such as Entrepreneur on Fire, Your Superpowered Mind, and many others. She's appeared on the Today Show, The Morning Show, TEDx, the Hallmark Channel, and her work has been featured in various media, including People Magazine, 17, Women's Day, Hollywood Life, and Teen Vogue. Christy's latest book, The Desire Factor, How to Embrace Your Materialistic Nature to Reclaim Your Full Spiritual Power, is now available for purchase. Christy also has a 10-day Watch Your Words challenge, which you can join at watchyourwords.com. Christy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm happy to be here with you.
Okay, so I want us to start this. By the way, if you want to get Christy's books, you can go to most outlets. I think you're available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all that sort of thing. Okay,
Oh,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk a little bit more about your book, The Desire Factor, and as well, watchyourwords.com. There's a 10-day, like I said, Watch Your Words challenge there. So I wanted to start this call by asking you, what moment did you realize and that you were not necessarily like everyone else and that you had this kind of important job to do here on the planet?
Well, I think all of us do. So it's not just me, it's like that expression, many are called and few are chosen. It was more of I leaned into what felt like me following my guidance and my gifts and things like that. And a lot of times people will say to me, "Oh, that's so courageous, to do what you do, to put yourself out there like that." For me, it never felt like courage. It felt like the natural next step thing to do, because as I leaned in, it felt good. And what I mean by that is, because you asked that question, this was in 2009, was it? It was 1999, as a matter of fact. I was meditating as I normally do at night, and I saw an image of a picture of a book with my name on it, and the title said Perfect Pictures. And then the book, in this meditation, in this visualization, the pages started opening up, and I thought, well, that's interesting. It's my book, but I've never written a book. So I went to bed that night. At 1:05 in the morning, I was woken up with a voice. It was as if someone was just talking to me, and I could hear the voice very clearly. And when I stopped to kind of assess what was going on and just hear this clear voice, it was giving me really good guidance. And I felt like I needed to, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like I needed to write down what I was hearing. And so as I did, it was like the very first words, I just started writing, and it was like automatic writing. I wasn't even thinking about, it was like my hand took over. And I totally forgot about it, went back to bed. The next day, woke up and I saw all these notes, and it was like a book. It was like I was reading an opening of a book. And what I was reading was very profound, and it helped me for what I was personally going through. So I knew that advice, or what I had received, wasn't necessarily from my rational mind, wasn't from Christy Whitman's logical, I think this way. It was a different perspective that came from definitely somewhere else. And so I just trusted it. But 7 nights in a row, that experience happened. And after 7 nights, I had just met an author that had gone and spoke at a metaphysical church, the Reading Church of Religious Science. And I had seen Terry Cole Whitaker, and she was just super pumped about abundance and all this stuff. And I was just a sponge. I was wanting to learn and grow. So I reached out to Terry and I said, I think I'm writing a book. How do I get a book published? And she told me go online and find a literary agent, and I did. And talk about beginner's mind. I didn't know the process or the procedures of getting a book done. I reached out to this guy who happened to be a publisher, and so I got my first book published. And in getting my first book published and giving it to my friends and family, who were definitely not the target audience for this book, I was like, what do I do now? So I started to speak in spiritual bookstores and churches, and that's when people started asking me to coach them. And I had, again, no idea about what coaching was, or that there was even a coaching industry, or how that worked or anything. So I just would tell people, just call me on the phone. I gave them my number and they would call me, and I would guide them through what I knew about universal laws and about energy and focusing, and all the different things that I now coach and teach, and that the council now does through me. And they were having amazing results, finding their ideal partners, getting job promotions, making more money. And that just something is, again, every step I just leaned into it. And then it started to evolve. It started to evolve when I was with clients. I would get information about them that there was no way for me to get. And I started opening up to being not only a coach, but also an energy healer. And just kept leaning in and leaning in. And what one day working with clients, and it was on the phone, my hands just started going up and they wouldn't go down. And the person on the other line, I was in Montreal at the time and she was in Washington, in Seattle, Washington. And so two different countries, like totally different other side of the country. And she goes, did you just put your hands around my neck? And I go, yeah, I did. And she didn't see me. It wasn't visual like this. I go, yeah, I did. Because I could see her and I could see her neck. And she said, I've had a stiff neck all day. It's been killing me. And my hands were like fire. And as soon as I put my hands down, she was like, oh my gosh, my neck is all better. Now, I don't know where that came from, or at least at the point then I didn't. But I was being a conduit for her intention to heal. And that was a collaborative thing that happened. She wanted to heal her neck. I had the ability to allow that energy to come through me. And it was a perfect match for her to have a completion of her intention.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about this, leaning into this. I'm calling it the integration process. It sounds like this voice, it started with you with this voice. There was some sort of guidance from another realm,
Yeah.
and then you were leaning in it and kind of just having this high trust in it, following it. And then that was helping you integrate physically with these higher dimension
Mm-hmm.
beings, or guidance or wisdom. My question is that, like, for the rest of us right at this point, do you feel like there's an acceleration? We're in 2024. Do you feel like there's an acceleration now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's an awakening happening. It started in 2020 actually. And when everything happened with lockdown, that's just my personality, but I'm talking to the council, very irreverent, going, okay, what's the deal? Like, why? What's going on here? Right? It was like, hello. And they said this is an amplification time. And I was like, what do you mean by amplification time? It's like whatever someone had been worrying, fretting, fearing, churning on, wherever their consciousness has been, it's going to amplify what's going on with their consciousness. And we did see that. I mean, every single human being around the globe for the first time had a situation. It didn't matter if you were a man or woman, didn't matter what country you were from, it didn't matter the color of your skin, it didn't matter what religion you believed in. Every single person was experiencing something together collectively where it was a universal thing. And much like the universal laws, what we interpret individually from a collective situation then creates our next experience. So, with everybody being in lockdown, I had an attitude of, okay, this is going to be fun. I got my kids at home. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to be anywhere. Let's use it as an opportunity to catch up on Netflix movies, or let's use it as an opportunity to connect with each other. Let's use it as an opportunity to have more family fun and to play more games and things like that. And we did. And my business grew. I mean, people are showing up for programs. More and more people were terrified and looking for help. And in that looking for help, open them up and birth them. Now, whether it was me or other people, they're like, okay, I can't sit here and eat bags of chips all day, or I can't sit
Right.
here and drink or smoke or, do all these things. And what was amplified for people, which has led to the birthing, which has led to your question, this opening now time, it's like more people are looking like, is this it? And that's a question that opened me up almost 30 years ago. It's like, is this it? Like, why am I working so hard? What am I doing why am I checking the boxes and accomplishing? What's it for? What's it for? And so that question, that feeling, that hunger, that thirst that somebody has, that creates an opening. And so while we were having that amplification time, so say someone was they were lonely and they wanted a partner, they lived alone, wants a partner, now they're home by themselves. That feeling of loneliness was an opportunity for them to clear that or to activate it even more. For somebody else, it might have been they're freaking out or worrying about money, and now the threat of their job or their financial flow is, being threatened, and now they're even more amplified in that fear energy. Whereas you have other people that master their energy, they work their energy, they're focusing on, their mental game, they're focusing on their emotional intelligence and managing their emotions. Those are the people that grew and expanded and thrived during that time. And it was a beautiful opening that is still the effects of it, and the ripples of it are still happening now, where more and more people are waking up. So yeah, it's a powerful time.
Awesome, awesome. And I think that well, I'm just going to say back what you had initially mentioned is about this mastering and focusing of energy. That's the big opportunity, right? Like to
Yes.
really start to practice and hone that. Okay, so
Yes.
let's dive in a little bit of that. So I'm just going to pull a couple questions I have about your book, The Desire Factor. One of them is you say that hard work is not the key to creating what you want, and I think that is becoming a huge revelation for a lot of people. And when I say that, because of the number of people who are not participating in the workforce anymore, they're kind of realizing like this is not maybe the way to do it, and then following that higher guidance. So if hard work isn't the way to create what you want financially to support yourself and create other good things, then what is?
Alignment, taking alignment with the energy. So let me give you an example. So my father, who is almost 92 years old, he retired when he was 85. I will bet one of the hardest working people I have ever met. Used to work 6 days a week, early to night to provide for his family. He was a very hard worker. But my father had a flaw, or has a flaw, in that he believes that the world is out to get him. He believes that if he works hard, it doesn't matter because he's not going to ever reach a certain level of success. He believes in Murphy's Law, where if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong, and it's going to go wronger than wrong, right? It's like it's not going to work out well. So all of his hard work and the action that he took, and he was very meticulous, he was a mechanical engineer when he worked, and just perfectionist. So what he put out was quality work, but he had his own mindset, his own energy, his own expectations, his own belief system that he was going to fail or not reach the level of success that he wanted. He was going to end up being disappointed, or, what he would say a lot is, I'm working, working, working. Nobody appreciates the work that I do. And then they got changes and I got to work harder and do more. And that was his belief system. It still is. So if working hard was the actual key to wealth, or to having abundance and having the success that you want, there'd be a lot more people achieving the success that they want because they're working really hard. They're working hard, but they're not getting where they want. So if they're working so hard, what is the key? It's being able to have alignment with what you want to experience. So instead of feeling like that level of success, that picture that you have of yourself in success or with money or, with accomplishments or whatever that picture is that each of us have individual, our own pictures. If that picture is of struggle, if it is of not getting what you want, if it's being a victim to, I'm working so hard, but nothing ever changes. No matter what I do, I can't seem to get ahead. If that's going on under the surface, that's energy. That's the metaphysical. That's the essence. And we always think that if I have this and then this and then this, then I'll get this. But
Right.
the this is always the energy. It's always accessible. I always say that, for years, I'd be like, I want to go on Oprah. And the reason I want to go on Oprah is because she's got a large audience. So then I would be exposed to more people, right? And then being exposed to more people, I would then have more impact. And if I have more impact, then I'd have more purpose. And then I'd also have more success, money, blah, blah, blah. If you go down that road, if I pull on that string, ultimately why I would say, let's just focus on money. Why someone would want more money. I'll feel more secure. I'll feel
Right.
more free. I'll feel more at peace. I'll feel more in harmony. Oh, right. So the peace, the harmony, the freedom, the joy, the success, those are frequencies. Those are energies. Those are states of being. We can feel that right now. We don't have to go on Oprah. We don't have to take the trip. We don't have to find the man. We don't have to find the woman. We don't have to go get the divorce. We don't have to do this. We don't have to. We can feel all of that here right now. So an idea of a business, an idea of a project you're working on, if you're in worry and fear that, are they going to like it? Am I going to lose my job? That's what you're aligning with. And that energy will continue the flow and then therefore create the result, because everything in this physical universe is created twice. It's created first energetically, metaphysically, and then in a physical form. So when we're aligning with the expectation of feeling good, of feeling the peace, of feeling the success, now that alignment, we then take the action and create the momentum. So it's all about alignment first and then momentum. If my dad would have known to align with what he ultimately wanted, to be at peace, to be in a space of harmony, to be in a space of contentment, feeling he's safe, his family is safe, feeling the freedom to have the financial flow. If he would have aligned and then worked hard, then put his best effort in, put all of him into everything that he did, it would be, you have to create, let me say it this way, what you energetically hold must then manifest. It's universal law. And a lot of times when people say, well, I'm being positive, but then this bill came and it knocked me off, or I'm being right. I get that a lot. Well, how come I'm visualizing and I'm doing the work, I'm doing the affirmations and I'm feeling really good, and then this bill came, or I got this bushwhacking news, or I got this, right? The rug got pulled out from under me, or this person, because we live in a land of polarity. There's up, there's down, there's left, there's right, there's in, there's out. There's what we don't want on one end, what we do want on the other end. There's lack, which lack always feels bad. And then there's abundance, which always feels good. And most people don't realize that on a subject, it could be money, right? They actually have split energy on that. They're like, money, I want it, I'll feel freer, but God dang it, money, I can't, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get ahead. No matter what I do, so there's this split belief, there's a split energy, and the momentum, that alignment is not strong enough to shift the energy. So they end up, it's like going this way and that way and this way and that way. You never move, you never change anything.
Yep. Yep. And it's funny you say that, because it's like it comes back to the alignment and mastering and focusing your energy. Because if that bill comes in and it takes you out of your state of being, then that physical manifestation has won over
Yes.
you, over your state of being, where you could have just been like, I'm going to stay in this state of being. And I'll give you a good example. So Wednesday, I was a little triggered. I had some anxiety, and a video popped up. I usually don't look at like social media first thing in the morning, but I was about to go in meditation and one of your channels came up. It was a Council of Light, and it was very simple. It was just like, breathe in abundance. Do you need support? Breathe in support. Do you need whatever it is you need, breathe it in. So I was like, oh, I totally forgot. This something I would practice doing. It was very like intuitive, and I would do it. Well, the rest of that day was just like, because it didn't take me a lot to adjust my energy. I was back in alignment, as you say, right? Because just
Yes.
so this always comes back to, it's always like mastering and focusing of the energy. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm getting the councils gives me pictures or examples or stories, and I remember years and years ago, I had set out in a very different career that I would be a coach and that I would have a family and I would have a baby and I would walk to the mailbox and I would pick up checks that would be passive income, and I had this whole visual and wrote it down. I would use this as a visual every morning to feel myself into this experience. And it was amazing because that visual fully came to fruition. I was living in Montreal at the time. I had my baby in my hands. Even better, I have automatic payments that come in. So it's like I don't even have to go to the mailbox. But I remember holding my son in my arms, and I went to the mailbox and there was a check from my publisher, and it was a really small check. And I opened it up and I was like, what am I going to do with that? Or it was like a feeling of like, gee, thanks, right? And I went, wait a minute, no, I don't want to be putting that energy out that I'm ungrateful, because I'm the kind of person, if I see a penny, I'll sing and dance. I actually have a song that I will pick up the penny and go, I am abundant, doopy doopy doopy. I created it when my kids were really small, so
I
it's
love
stuck.
it. I
It's
love it.
stuck. And now that they're teenagers, there's like, do you have to sing that song? Right? It's like, well, I just found a quarter. I'm abundant, doopy doopy. And they're like, oh my God, just stop. So, but I celebrate that. So here was this check, and I think it was like $4 or something like that. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? Right. And I shifted my energy. I went, wait a minute. No, thank you. I accept and receive this $4. Thank you. I could go get a coffee. I could go buy my son a little toy Tonka truck. I could put that money aside and save it for more and add it up. There's so much I could do with this $4. And being in that gratitude, that keeps the channel open, because it's like, if I'm grateful for a little bit, for a penny, if I'm grateful for $4, I'm going to be grateful for 10,000. If I'm like, I'm pushing away more money coming ahead. It starts with, like you're saying, having something knock you off, and then realizing that moment where you're knocked off, you can open up to all the power in the universe. Really, it's infinite, and it's just
Yep.
it's anything that we think we are lacking or feel like we don't have, no matter what it is, because it's universal. There's always an energetic feeling or sense that we're wanting to have, and if we know how to properly get into alignment and use energy mastery techniques and processes like the council teaches, then it's like we can, like you did, we could fine tune ourselves. It's like being in a car, and you back in the day, it's digital now, but back in the day, if you got static as you're driving in the car, you tune in, right? It's like, it's a matter of just tuning into that alignment of, all right, I'm feeling frustrated right now. I'm feeling insecure. What do I want to feel? I want to feel success going into this meeting, right? I want to feel success going into this interview. Let yourself feel what it feels like to nail the interview before you even go into the interview. You pre-pave it. You see yourself, visualize yourself sitting there, even though you can't see the person's face, seeing there, feeling what you want to feel like as you walk out of that meeting, as you walk out of that presentation, as you walk out of that interview, feeling like, I got it, right? Like, I did my best, because you feel that energy of success. And when you do that, when you literally, it's like, I like to call it a container. We are energy receivers, we are energy containers, and we're energy transmitters. What we're holding in our container about any given subject, that's what we will attract and manifest. So it's all about alignment, momentum.
Awesome. Love it. And that was the thing that caught me off the guard this week, was that I was like, when I was in the meditation, I was like, okay, I got to do this and this. And then when this happens, it was the Oprah thing, right? It was just like, I
Yes.
got to do all these things. And then this will happen. And then I saw that clip and I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? This is the faster way to do it. So then I just breathed in. I was like, I want some support. I got answers right away. Within 5 minutes, I got the answers that I was looking for, where I'd spent all this time kind of rummaging over like all these things I got to do to get to this place. Then I just asked
Yeah.
for support. I get the support. I'm like, aligned. Now it didn't take me a lot to get back, but the concept's the same. It's about momentum and it's about focusing and mastering your energy.
Well, and the
Uh,
more you do it, the better you get at it and the quicker you do it. So just really quick, Steve, like when you think
yeah.
about it, most people live in a state of being. I like to think of it as like three buckets. There's lack, which lack never feels good. It's where all of the lower level emotions. It's boredom all the way to frustration, anger, rage, sadness, disappointment, worry, fear. All of that is in the state of being called lack. And then on the other flip side is abundance. This is where all the higher joyful feelings come, like joy, freedom, excitement, love, passion, purpose, freedom, all that, right? And then in the middle, because it's hard to go from lack all the way into abundance, there's a neutrality point. And that's why one of the laws is called the law of sufficiency and abundance. It's not just the law of abundance. When you are in a place of, I'm okay, that everything's going to be all right, when you're in that energy of compassion or peace, even gratitude or appreciating where you are, acceptance of where you are, you're now not feeling bad. You're not in lack anymore. You're neutral. And when you're neutral, now you can open, it's like the doorway, the windows open up to this higher frequency that we can then choose so that we're feeling good and not feeling bad. And so when we're in that space and we can get ourselves out of lack and into abundance, into most people are over here feeling bad with a moment or moments of feeling joy or feeling something good. And then they revert back to the blah, 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 blah. We want to be over here feeling joy most of the time and then having a moment of being off, but then at least having processes or techniques or tools or, practical things that you can do that like what happened to you, that you can immediately revert back to feeling good. And then when you're in that alignment, that's when ideas and all this other insights come. I mean, that's where the juice is, right? In that
Yeah.
alignment.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that how you said that, the door opens once you get to this, you get from lack to feeling bad to like neutral. That the door opens. And then that's this, if anyone can take something from this interview or this video, is it's like if you can just get to that, if you're in a tough place right now, then that's the opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you okay if we bring in the Council of Light now?
I'd love to. Let me go get them. It just takes me a second. We are here. Hello, Delight. Hello to each of you that are listening now and in the future. Hello.
Thank you for being here. I have a couple questions for you.
We have answers for you, dear.
Amazing. So my first question is, how do we overcome limiting beliefs like I'm not enough or I'm not worthy?
Well, unfortunately, the idea of I'm not enough is a very, very early on, and it's the biggest, as Christy would say in her 20 plus years of coaching, it is the biggest wound that most people have. And it's interesting because it's usually the child or the adolescent or an earlier on part of you that makes that decision. So let's just say this, right? Dad is reading the paper in the living room after a hard day of work, and you are a child and you're wanting dad's attention. So you're jumping up and down in front of dad going, Dad, look at me. Look at how I could hit the baseball. Dad, look how I could bounce a basketball. Dad, look how I can stand on my head. Dad, look how I can do this. And he's, yeah, great, great. So you get the idea that, oh, I'm not getting his attention. I'm not doing enough. I must not be enough to be important. And it's a very young, irrational decision that the younger parts of you do make. and you don't have all the information. Your little brains haven't even had the opportunity to have logic and assessment and to see that maybe he's just wanting a minute for himself and to give him some space. Maybe he's had a long day at work. Maybe going to work and providing is his love language because he gives what he can. But looking you bouncing up and down and being involved with you wasn't what your dad's deal was. So or the mom or whoever. So the idea of I'm not enough is a decision point that was made at an earlier time. And that's good news, because if you were the one accepted it and made the decision that I'm not enough, you can decide. You can decide on something else. So as the adult you can tell yourself, I am enough. And feel that of what it would feel like to truly feel you're enough at work, in your relationship, in your body, in its different other aspects. It's not just in total, I'm not enough. Most of you have different parts or idiosyncrasies about your life where you've decided. And so it's not like getting a diploma from a university where the diploma is forever yours and it never is taken away from you. Feeling that you are enough is a state of being. It's a decision. It's a focus that you must make in the moment when you feel off or when you feel good. That, yes, I am enough. I've got what it takes. I can do this. I'm good at this. I'm chosen to do this. And then you fill yourself up with that energy. As you are feeling those parts of you that are younger and that do not feel enough, those are the parts that need your love. Those are the parts that little boy or that little girl that was dancing in front of mom and dad and wasn't getting that attention, they reached out for attention and came up empty-handed and went, oh, it must be me. I must not be enough. So instead, that little one in you would draw all of your energy from whoever it was and come back to yourself and let that part of you, that little voice that says you're not enough, that little voice that tells you you're not worthy or you're not valuable, and let those parts of you feel the energy of compassion. Let those parts of you feel that nurturing, that love, that inclusion. And you, as the adult, tell that younger part of you, I've got you. You are enough. And that's where, when you have that awareness of you're feeling bad about anything, to fine tune yourself back into alignment so that you feel what you feel you're missing. The idea that any of you are in lack, that you are lonely and you don't have someone, or that you are worried because you don't have enough money, or you have enough money now, but now you're worried in the future that maybe you don't have enough money. All of these are opportunities to allow yourself to feel compassion, to settle yourself down, to get into that bucket like Christy was talking about, the neutrality bucket, where you're not feeling bad anymore. You may not feel good at this moment, but at least you don't feel bad. You feel okay. And from there, the doorway opens. And even those little guys in you that say you're not enough, giving them compassion will fill them up. It's all about retracting back and all of those split parts or those fractured parts along the way and bringing all of it back into the wholeness, back into the oneness of who you are and how infinitely loved you are.
Brilliant. You mentioned this, and Christy also talked about this split energy. And so my question is around, my sense is that split energy creates limitation at times. So what do you mean by this, the idea of split energy?
So it's the energy of I want something, but we always say be aware of the big old buts, because when you are moving towards something, you see a partner, you see a vision of a trip you want to take, or you say you want to go on a magical trip somewhere. and you and your wife want to go, right? And yet you want to go there, you see yourself going there, but then the awareness of, I don't have enough money to do this, there's the split. So there's a desire to do something, and then the third dimensional reality of, well, I can't do that. And that's where we say, watch your words, because when you say you can't, you want to shift that. We heard a woman, Christy heard a woman yesterday, and the woman was saying, you know what, I'm at the age now where I can't seem to lose weight. And Christy just ignored it, just heard the conversation walking by, and she thought to herself, well, there's the problem, because you've already said to yourself, first of all, there's an idea that once you get to this certain age, it's going to be hard to lose weight. It's in the ethers. It's around. Women are talking about it. After menopause, at this certain age, you gain weight. This does not have to be true for everybody. But the more you collect in convention, the more women get together and they have a conference and call it a menopause conference. And now all of us are gaining weight because we're in menopause. Now you have this belief that you're at this age, and the expectation is that you will gain weight or not be able to lose weight. And so then the belief becomes, maybe you dieted and that didn't work. And then you can't lose, it was a day, oh, I can't lose the weight. And now it becomes a solidified belief. I've tried everything, as you're eating a dessert because you're frustrated. So it's about being in empowerment or being in a state of drama with your own self. And when you feel those words like I can't, or I should, or I've tried, that's defeating. That's where split energy comes in. Because remember to align. When we're really talking about alignment, we're talking about alignment of the consciousness. Now, what's the consciousness? It's the very words you speak. The minute you say, well, I can't do that, it's like everything quantum collapses around it and gives you, no matter how much you try to do or how much you effort, you can't do it because the belief is there. So the words that you say, the thoughts that you think repeatedly, the visions that you hold, the most important thing that all of you hold is an image of yourself, the way you want to see your life, because you cannot outcreate your own images of yourself, your own self-awareness, your own self-identification. So even having those pictures, what you do, what you feel, this is your consciousness. It's words, thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and actions. When all of that is in alignment with what you want to have or be or do, like that trip, if all of your words were, that someday, don't know when, it might not be a financial priority right here, right now, but someday we're going to go on that trip. And boy, is that going to be fun. Oh, the thoughts of that. Ooh, you know what I'd love to do on that trip? And then you see yourself on that trip. You feel yourself on that trip. And then something happens. We've seen it where you cannot figure out how to do something financially, but you open up and so align with it that the finances come in. You get a big bonus check. You get a big promotion. Someone offers you a trip to Hawaii for free. This happened with Christy. She was working with a client. The client was all upset and said, I'm upset because my friend invited me to Hawaii, to Maui, to go on a all expense trip, but I just had to get myself there. I had to fly myself there, but everything else, house and everything right on the beach, is taken care of. And she said, but I can't afford it. And Christy said, let's change your language. Would you like to go? And she said, of course I'd like to go. Okay, well then that's not a financial priority, but I'm still excited. I would love to go. Well, what's the point if I can't go? Why would I envision it if I know I can't go? Stop telling yourself you can't go. Let yourself see yourself imagining yourself going, letting yourself being in the flow and in the feeling of what it would feel like to be there. And she did. And her girlfriend called her back that very same day and said, you know what? I have a plane ticket that I can't refund it, but I can transfer it. Would you, and you don't have to pay me anything. It's going to expire. Would you like a free trip to Hawaii? So things that you cannot even conceive of that would be a possibility happen when you align, when you focus on what you want and you don't have the split energy. You don't have the, I'd love to go, but
Awesome.
I'd love to do that, but that's where it's like you want to go one way, but you go, I'd love to do that, but I don't know how. I'd love to do that, but I'm too old. I'd love to do that, but I'm too young. I'd love to do that, but they don't want my kind. I don't have what it takes. That's the split. That's the split energy. And it usually comes with a but.
Got it. Beware of the butts.
Where are the big old buts? Yes.
When it comes to making choices, how important is it that we feel good when we make our choices?
100%. Everything you do must be from a place of feeling good. We have an example of around the time when vaccinations for COVID and everything were going on. We have a client who knew, do not want to put this in my body. I do not want to take there. She had and she was forced because at that time there were companies that were letting go of people that were not vaccinated. And so she was forced into getting a vaccination. She was so resistant about it. And we told her, if you're going to do this, you need to find alignment with this, because another client of ours wasn't real sure about it. But we said, if you're going to do it with the idea that all is well and get yourself feeling that it's good. She did, and everything's fine. This other woman still was resisting it and fighting it and didn't want to do it. And she has been fighting for her life ever since. So anything you do in life, whether it's going into a new job, you don't have to, taxes, for example. Nobody's excited to do taxes. And most people, when they get their taxes, they find, oh, I got to pay that, or I made so much money this year, now I got to pay to more taxes. It's how you look at the giving of taxes. If you look at taxes as it's your protection, it's your road service, it's, fire and police and all the other things that you pay taxes into. If you don't like the fact that you pay taxes into war, don't focus on that. Focus on the things that you can appreciate that your money is going to, that the things that are the government is helping people with. And when you feel good about taxes, when you feel like, hey, I'm giving this money back so that I can have protection and safety or whatever it is that you want, now you have a good perspective on this thing called taxes. And usually what we find is when someone is pretty detached from taxes, they usually have a pretty good accountant that can find ways to save them money or even make them more money or get a refund instead of having to pay. Your alignment is everything. And what you do then with that alignment, with the momentum, is key to what you manifest.
Absolutely love it. Since we're talking about, you mentioned taxes, which I think is a good example. I want to ask you about governments, what's happening with them now, and what you anticipate governments will look like for us in the future.
Well, let's just say this. There's a lot of split energy within government systems. And there's a lot of people that can see that there's a lot of dysfunction within your current systems. And you, as a powerful human race, can rise up and see we need more of the collective whole. It doesn't mean that those that don't work, they get to have as much as those that do work, because whatever you are putting your energy into, think about, you have all this life force. What's really happening here is each of you are an individual collection of the universal divine. And that divine self, Christy likes to think of it as like an octopus, right? You have an octopus, and even though the octopus has 8 legs, think of it from a miniature perspective. You have this God, this divine, this universal energy that wants to express itself through each person individually for the fun and the joy and the experience of it. The divine creates differently through you, Steve, than it creates through Christy. It's a different tentacle. It's a different life experience. And so all of you are having this. as all of you start to become more aware and more aligned and really feel what's in the best interest for everyone, each of you also creates your life individually. So if someone is taking all this life force energy and they're wasting it, and their consciousness is closed down, they think they're not enough, they can't succeed, they can't do anything, why try? And now they get on government funding for doing nothing. That is it's an absolute, and there again, there's no judgment at all either, but this is the divine experiencing what it's like to do nothing as a human being. Whereas other ones feel this deep desire with their consciousness to make change, to create impact, to do good for the greater good. And it's those people, and more of you are waking up. Those people are saying this system that we have is not working. So you will see a change. You will see more people coming into your offices and getting elected that have the greater good and not just their own individual greed motivating them. That's what you all want to do, is bring in the people and find the people that are in alignment and really are for the greater good, not just for the greater buck.
Great. Amazing. I totally respond and appreciate and understand what you're talking about, the split energy, because we talk so much about it, and now I'm seeing it in the governments. And of course, you just said that's the reason why it's split, but there is room for change. And
Indeed.
what about the let's go back to connecting to like the divine and having a deeper connection with our higher self. What are practical ways that we can do that?
Well, one way in particular is meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be this 3 hour long thing that you do every day. A meditation could be as simple closing your eyes and, like you did the other day, feeling and understanding that this God thing, this divine thing, this universal presence is all energy. It's energy. There's no guy with a white beard sitting on a cloud with a clipboard doing a check off if you've been naughty or nice. That's Santa. That's not this thing called God. God is creator. It's energy. And each one of you have multi dimensions to yourselves. You have your physical body. You have your own physical consciousness, whatever your life experience has been. Then you have your higher mind, where your mind is aware beyond the physical. You have a mind that sees beyond and is open to that. How you open up that mind is by quieting your physical mind and letting yourself connect with the energy of what you want. So by sitting in a meditation, even if we were you as physical human beings, if we were sleeping in our bed and we woke up and realized, oh, I'm awake, I have another day. Thank you. Okay, so I get to create this day. This is my day to create. What energy do I want to experience? Well, today I want to experience joy. Today is going to be my joy day. And so then, because you have declared it, you are always the choosers. You are the initiators. You are the intention makers. You are the desire creators. You all get to receive in the energy of your choosing. The joy energy exists. It's here, it's there, it's there. It's like a waterfall. It exists right now. It's not something like we were talking about. You have to go on Oprah and then go do this and this and this to finally find the pocket of joy. The joy is here. It's now. The freedom, the love, the support, the success, the well-being, the wholeness, it's all here. You were all divinely designed to experience and live that way. As you each align with it, just we woke up. Today we want to feel joy. Letting yourself feel like you are a container. If you have a container, what are you going to fill up your container with? You're going to put juice or water or booze in there? What are you going to fill your container with? You all get to decide that. Today I'm filling up my container with joy. Feel it as if every single cell in your body were like little cups, and you're turning it up to the light, and all those little cups are being filled with that energy of joy. Oh, try to feel bad after that.
Amazing. Is when it comes to fear, what can we do? What can we do when we experience fear?
Well, feel it for one. You think of fear. Now, let's talk about this for a minute, because there's two different states of being, and we don't want to confuse anybody. There are those that have, from the tip of their toes to the top of their head to the tip of their fingers, fear. That's how they live. That's how they walk around life. Everything is from a fear-based place. That's not what we're talking about. That's a set point of I'm in fear of everything. We want you to let go of that fear and come back into a place of calm, of peace, of alignment. And when you do that, you will have information such as a whoosh of energy that will come in and inform you that there's something to be afraid about. When your channel is open, you can feel a wave of fear and then know that you can assess what's going on. But if you're already in fear of everything, when these fearful things come up, they're just going to ignite. It's like someone that has a sunburn, really bad sunburn, and you walk up to them and go, "Hey, man," and you touch them on the shoulder, they're going to go, right? But if you do the same thing to someone that has no, it doesn't hurt them. So someone that's already in this bubble of fear, it's like that one more thing. It's like touching them with that sunburn. They're overactivated in it, which then a lot of times will lead to anxiety if they are not releasing their fear. So our go-to process and emotion for all of you, because it really does take about 90 seconds to process out a wave of energy, not just an emotion, but a wave of energy out of the physical body. So if a body is mired in fear energy, by going down into your belly, it's actually below your belly, into almost your intestines, where your entire emotional body is. If you bring your focus down into the belly has a pulsation, like a pulse or a heartbeat. There's a pulsation to it. If you can feel and just actively wait, it's kind of like, we like to think of it as you're a surfer in the ocean, waiting for a wave. You don't take every wave. You wait, and oh, here comes the big one, and then you could feel the rhythm of it, and then you get on your surfboard and you ride that wave all the way to the shore, all the way till it ends. So with you sitting in your belly, feeling, now some of you won't feel this, but some of you could put your hands on your belly and doing even an abdomen crunch, as if you're like doing a ab crunch or a Pilates, where you're tightening up, and then you feel it, then you can start to feel the pulsation. And with that pulsation, if you feel it, not holding on to it or worrying about it or telling a story or describing it or any of that, if you're just going into the purity of the energy and letting that energy release, again, taking about 90 seconds to process it, let yourself then bring in the energy, allow the energy of compassion to fill you up. Compassion feels like a nice warm blanket being wrapped around you, or someone handing you something warm on a cold day where you just, that feeling of, oh, okay, I'm all right. Getting into a nice hot tub, that feeling, or into your comfortable bed at night. That comfort replaces the energy of fear, and then that becomes your new set point. Any emotion, as all of you have, are here to help you know yourself. For example, if a boundary is being crossed, you might feel anger. And instead of stuffing down the anger, ignoring the anger, when you hear, what am I angry about? Oh, that person did that, and that's a boundary for me. That's a no for me. And I can speak up and say, okay, enough. This doesn't work for me. Lot,
Amazing.
lot more to say on that, but we got where we needed to go.
Thank you for that. You've answered all my questions at this point, so thank you. I just had one question, one last one, is there anything else that you want to share that you haven't shared with us yet?
Cool. There's a lot, dear. There's really a lot. But what we will say as we sign off, and this is true for everybody, and if you really embrace this and accept this, your life will deeply change. Each and every one of you, no matter what you have done, no matter who you are, no matter what you have yet to do, each and every one of you are infinitely loved. No other higher truth. Be well, dear ones. Allow yourself to just imagine a beautiful waterfall of light just pouring down, filling you up with light. Or you can even imagine you're under a shower head of light, just letting yourself fill up with light. Ah, how'd that go with them?
Wow.
Yeah, I know they're pretty amazing, huh?
And hilarious. The sunburn one, just like, when someone has a sunburn, you're like, hey, man. And it's like, ah, I totally got it. I was like, oh my God, such great examples. For those of you watching, I just wanted to just unpack a little bit of what we covered today and just a couple things. But, you know, Christy has shared so much as well as the council. This whole thing of this amplification, this opening that we're going through about mastering and focusing your energy. This is something you have control of, your energy. This is not something that is you can give it away if you want, but this is something that you do have control of. And as Christy said earlier, you do create everything twice, first energetically from a higher realm and then physically. And that is a law. So as you focus on like what we've talked about today, just remember that the alignment does lead to momentum. But the key is that if you are in a state of like lack or feeling or fear, as the council had said earlier, you want to get to that place to I'm okay, and then the door opens.
Yes.
And once you get there, then things really get exciting for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was awesome. I do have a couple more questions for you, Christy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, I'm going to ask you this because this was curious about this. I've watched your channel a few times, and I noticed that you at one point you had opened your eyes. Do you normally do that, or is that?
Sometimes, yeah. So when I bring in the council, I am fully out. It's like I'm taking nap time, and a lot of times I don't even remember what was said. Like if you say to me, "Oh, the sunburn thing," I've heard them talk about that, so I'm like, "Oh, okay," but I didn't know that they said that. Sometimes people say, "Oh my God, we talked about this," and it feels like it's a dream. Like, oh, okay, like there's some recollection of that. So what did you ask me again? I forgot what you asked
Oh,
me.
that's okay. I was just curious about the eyes opening because I'd never
Oh
seen you do
yeah.
that before. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they'll do that on occasion now more often because as I'm getting acclimated to their high energy. Before, when they came in, if they would go through my eyes, it was like way too much. But now, so they're opening it up every once in a while. When they do processes with people, they generally keep them closed. But in interviews like this, they might open it from time to time.
Amazing. So it's like you're kind of going through your own integration process with the council.
I am, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So what was it like for you the first time you channeled?
It was amazing because I was in a group of people that the council, I could hear them and I was getting a lot of guidance. I was seeing pictures. I was driving on the freeway one time and I had to pull over because they showed themselves what they look like to me. And I was like, what? And I pulled over on the side of the road on the side of the
Wow.
freeway because it was so overwhelming. And that's when I heard them say, create sacred circle of light. I'm like, what is that? And so they were very clear on what we were creating and quantum energy mastery and things and programs that they have brought through. So I was hearing things, seeing things. And so I was in Sacred Circle of Light, and where I could hear them very clearly or see pictures, it was like two of my kids and my husband all talking to me at the same time. I was like, I can't, the dog barking. I was like, I can't hear anything right now. And my consciousness went out, and I I could have sworn, Steve, I could have sworn that my body flung over the chair like that, because that's how I felt. Like my consciousness was off to the side, and I could see them, I could feel them in and speaking. And I wasn't catching every word they were saying, but I knew I was having this experience. And then when they left and I came back in, I was like, oh my God, like I was crying. That's never happened before. And all the ladies were just like, what just happened? So it was an incredible, we actually have it on video, and I have it on my YouTube channel, as I talk about, the different processes and of me becoming a channeler, and my own personal story. We actually have that clip on there when they first came through. So it's pretty.
But and when, just out of my own curiosity, when was the first time that it happened? What year was it? Was it?
It actually was my son. I'll never forget it because it was September 17th, which is my son's birthday, and it was 2008. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
2018. Sorry, 2018.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
and the other question I had for you was like, so I noticed that as you were sharing, the council was sharing, you could see like you're trying to get the information out as fast as possible, but there's way more. And they even
Yes.
said that a few times, like there's so much more. So it kind of just validates what you're saying about how it's like it's just so much information at once.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's fun though. It
Uh,
feels good.
Amazing, good. So just questions for you. What do you believe is the purpose of life?
Well, now I mean, it evolves as I do, and my understanding is to enjoy it, to thrive and to feel good. I mean, really the purpose is like this divine life force, this thing called life that's, animating our minds and beating our hearts. And, it's the evidence of, am I alive? That life force wants to create. It's a creator. And so my job and my purpose is to align with that part and let it guide me. So that's where I've reached in my life. The purpose used to be for me, and it still is, but it's evolved, is to be a light worker, is to be able to bring in light and express light and create in light. And so that's for me, that what resonates as far as my own purpose. But beyond that, for each of us, is that we enjoy this life experience. I mean, it's a temporary passport. We're not going to be here long, and when none of us know exactly when our passport expires, whether we're going to be in our 90s or tomorrow. So might as well enjoy the ride.
Awesome. And is there anything else that you wanted to share that you haven't shared with us yet?
You had mentioned in the beginning that we have the bonus of the watch your words. And, for me and some people that are maybe watching this might be like, what the hell? How do you start? How do you master your energy? And the first thing I say is that you start with your words, because the words that we have sparks everything. And when you are saying words like can't or should or try, these words pull you down, and it literally collapses, it constricts constricts the energy flow, and nothing beyond what you believe. So I can't do that, then nothing happens after that. But as you shift, and you shift even your word, the field, the energy field opens up to then create thoughts and create images. And this is how we create. So in the beginning, there is the word. So it says in the Bible. So by creating what we are wanting, whether it's a vacation or a conversation or a relationship or whatever we're wanting, we really need to watch our words, and that the words that we're choosing to speak about ourselves or others or in with someone, like, oh, you should do that, that doesn't feel good. Don't should on me, right? It's like, well, an option you could do is this. So watching our words and shifting those makes a huge difference in what we create, and of course how we feel. So
Awesome. So you can go to watchyourwords.com, join the 10-day Watch Your Words challenge to start that
yeah,
process.
awesome.
Awesome. And again, if you want to get learn more about Christy, you can go to christywhitman.com, the Watch Your Words challenge, or you can purchase her latest book, The Desire Factor. Thank you so much for being on the show, Christy.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you everybody for listening, watching. Appreciate you all.
Thanks for watching the Meeting of the Masters, and we'll speak with you next time.